Hi, I'm Meg, and today we're going to talk about making chicken stock or chicken broth, whatever you call it. It's easy to make from things you have on hand, as long as you have on hand some chicken. Everything else you probably already have in your refrigerator. Now, you can buy chicken stock in a carton or a can. You can make it from the concentrated stuff in the grocery store, but it's just not as good. And I use chicken stock to make a couple of things that I make all the time, and what I like to do is make it ahead of time and then keep it in the freezer so that it's ready when I want to make soup or stew or other things. So I'm going to show you how I make it, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make. So let's get started. The first thing you need, obviously, for chicken broth is some chicken. And I have some, we bought a month or so ago, a whole cut up fryer chicken. And we used parts of it for, I think, frying chicken. And we froze the rest. And it's been thawing all morning. But what I have in this bag is what we're gonna put in the pot. So let's see. I have, this is a thigh and a wing. I'm just throwing it in. It's semi-thawed. It's not thawed the whole way, but that doesn't matter. That does not matter. I have this is like there's another wing. I think this is the back or the neck. I don't know. But we're gonna throw it in. Here's a leg. And the more chicken you use, the better the broth turns out. It just has so much flavor. These are the giblets, and I don't like to touch them, but they come in a whole, when you have a whole chicken or a whole cut up chicken, if you get a whole chicken, that's what's in that waxy bag in the cavity of the chicken. And I'm just gonna, here they are. I'm gonna throw them in there, and now I'm gonna wash my hands because I think I don't like to touch them. The point of it is that all of that stuff contributes to the flavor of the broth or the stock, and that's why we put it in. We're not gonna eat it after. Some people slice it up and put it in gravy. My grandma always sliced it up and put it in gravy, and in fact, I was so repulsed by these bits as a child that at Thanksgiving she would make 2 gravy boats, and one boat had the giblets in it and the other one didn't, and she would always be sure to point out to me which one didn't. And that's true love, right? We're gonna put it in the broth. In addition to the chicken in the broth, you're gonna put generally celery, onion, some garlic, and some parsley, and some salt and pepper. You're gonna cook that with the chicken in the water to give it flavor. Now, you don't have to go out and buy all new things. This is a very forgiving kind of cooking, and so let me show you what I had in my refrigerator that we're gonna use to make this broth. I had half an onion, which we're gonna use. I'm just gonna peel the skin off. I'm just gonna cut that right up. And it can be big chunks just because it's for flavor. Oh, I had half of a red onion too. That's in pretty good shape, but I'm gonna take a bit of that much. Just cut off the ends. Peel off so that it's nice and smooth, and then let's just make some big chunks of that. Ooh. I'm gonna smash a couple, let's say 3 garlic cloves. I'm just gonna smash them with my knife. Ooh, I just sent some of that on the floor. When you smash it, you're letting the good stuff out, but you're not chopping it into bits. It just adds flavor. Then we have some celery. I like to use the pieces of celery that have leaves. Sometimes I take a whole stalk of celery and I just chop off the top of it instead of pulling a whole rib off like a rib and cutting it, because the stuff on the top is perfect for flavoring. It doesn't need to be pretty, it's just adding flavor. So a handful, I don't know how much that was, a cup. And then I found a bag of scallions, and they're kind of droopy. They're a few days old, but I'm just gonna cut the green tops off because there's flavor in the green. We're gonna strain all of the solid pieces out later. And then the last thing is I had this bunch of parsley, and you can see there's some yellow bits in there. It's getting a little bit old, but I'm just gonna whack off about half of that and very coarsely chop it. Nice little handful, and throw it in. And there's our flavor. Now water. This stock pot, let's see. I don't know how much water, so I measured out 8 cups. Let's see if that's the right amount. And I'm gonna add 2 more. Yeah. 2 more cups. Okay, so that's 10 cups of water in this stock pot. All that was, how many pieces of chicken was that? 6 or 7 pieces of chicken cut up. Okay, let's go to the stove. We're gonna turn on the burner to high until it comes to a boil. Then let's add some salt and pepper. This is pepper, black pepper. Good shake. Here's some salt. More salt than pepper. Here's some poultry seasoning. Pansies is my favorite, but you can use any brand. And it'll make chicken broth taste like chicken broth. Actually, this doesn't want to come out. I'm gonna pull the shaker off and see what's... So that's about a teaspoon, maybe more. And then this is oregano. Probably about the same amount, maybe just a little handful. Crush it a little to release some of the flavor. Let's push that all down in there. And then we're gonna wait for it to boil. We're gonna turn down the heat when it boils, and we're gonna let it go for a couple of hours. We'll check in periodically, but I think total cooking time might be close to 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. But I'll let you know. It's almost boiling, you can tell because it's a little foamy on the top. And I'm gonna give it a quick stir. Also, you can tell that some of the pieces have kind of floated up to the top. That's an indicator that there's bubbles on the bottom pushing them up. And you smell the onions. You can't smell them. If you had smell-o-vision, you could smell the onions and the garlic and the parsley, and it smells kind of salty and peppery. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the lid back on, and we're gonna turn it down so that it simmers, and check back in about an hour. So this has been boiling for, I think, an hour and a half. And let's look at it real quick, because you can see the chicken pieces have floated to the top, and the water has a nice kind of golden color. You're gonna see that better in a minute. So we're gonna turn it off, and we're gonna strain it. Let's bring it over here to the sink. First thing we're gonna do is pull out chunks. So we have pieces of chicken. We're just gonna set them aside. You can see, if you look at the chicken, you can see it's really cooked. It's it's almost coming off the bone. That's what you want. You want it to be really cooked hard, because when chicken cooks at length, you start to get the good stuff out of its bones, and that is what adds really amazing flavor to your chicken broth. This is a fine mesh strainer, and I am going to slowly pour the broth through it. The strainer catches all the solids, and this is gonna be delicious. Look at that. Look at the color. I'm gonna pull some up in a measuring cup so you can see it. See how it's golden? You can still see some particulate things floating around. That's probably seasonings that are too small to get caught by the mesh, but it's golden, and if you look on the top you can see oil, and that is the chicken skin that melted and rendered, I guess you could say. And what it amounts to is a really flavorful, delicious broth. So now what we need to do is let it come to room temperature. We're just gonna allow it to sit on the counter, let it come to room temperature, and then we'll talk about what to do next. So there you have it, chicken broth. It's a beautiful golden color. It smells great. It's gonna taste really good, and it is the basis for some really good things. Chicken pot pie, which is something I'm gonna use it to make. Chicken soup, all kinds of things. You can freeze it and keep it for later. Just label it so you don't forget what it is. I speak the voice of experience. And or put it in the refrigerator, put it in a jar. Just use it to make really good food. So that's it. I am not going to tell you to like and subscribe, because that's what everybody else says, and I don't want to be cliche. So thanks for watching, and check back for more videos soon.